All right, good afternoon, everyone. It's about 4 minutes away from 5:30. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just do an introduction of the course that we're going to be engaging in. Um, First, let me apologize for last week. I had my timetable totally mixed up. Even this week, I had it mixed up. I was looking for all of you yesterday at 5:30. Aisha Boyce would have told me that she was in a class, and I was saying that probably tutor kept you all late. Then to realize that I'm having you on Thursday 5:30 to 7:30. So I'd like to apologize for last week. We will see how we can make up for the lost 2 hours. But being that this semester is a longer one than last semester, we can pace ourselves so that we can grasp the concepts that are involved in sanitation and safety. First of all, let me tell you that to you have to study for this particular exam. All right, there's no waiting to the night before the exam to study. You will fail, um, and that's not because I set hard exams. It's because we're learning new concepts. You're going to hear new words. Um, you're going to be learning new things. Hence, you have to be constantly revising. That is why it is important that when we're finished and you have the time, that you can go over the presentations that are on YouTube so that you can get an idea, so that you can cement the concepts that I'll be talking about. So basically, we're going to be looking at the basic food safety course that would have been designed in 2001 by a number of us in the Ministry of Health. All right. We would have, in collaboration with Barbados Community College and PAHO, there were a number of us who would have been, and the Ministry of Health, I work in the Ministry of Health, we would have designed this particular program to train food handlers in Barbados. All right. So PAHO would have used it right through the West Indies. In fact, in 2011, one of my friends who I met in China would have told me that she would have seen my name along with some another of our colleagues um, on a document, and this particular document was the Basic Food Safety Manual. So this particular manual um, has been has been ratified by WHO PAHO, whose headquarters is in Barbados. So um, for a number of years, from like 2000, 2001, we were training hotel workers, we were training restaurant workers, we were teaching this particular course at Palmarine. We would have trained close to over 7,000 persons in Barbados since 2001. We had some intensive training in 2006, where we were preparing for Cricket World Cup here in the West Indies. So we had a mandate to train all of the food handlers that will be involved in the food industry for that particular event. Um, in speaking to some persons, outside of Barbados and persons who are knowledgeable with respect to food safety. This particular course, this particular manual has been touted as one of the best manuals anywhere around. I would have seen a manual from Canada and it didn't have half the amount of content from this particular manual and from this particular course. I'm not saying so because I teach it or because I was involved. This is comments from um, experts. All right. Um, in fact, one of the experts that we would have taken some text from his books told us that rather than call it a basic food safety course, it was a level 2 food safety course. So in Barbados and especially at community college, Barbados Community College, um, we do a good work. Um, I know the music program is one of the best in the world. All right, and the computer program is one of the best. All right, so um, We do very good things here in Barbados. It's just that sometimes we don't acknowledge that we do a lot of things. How many of you would have gone to school and taken school meals? Anybody on your mic can say? All of you would have been privileged to have school meals.
Yeah, sir.
Okay, all right. So we will train school meals workers too. All right, and 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 I think school meals is about since 1961 or something like that is so close to 60 years. And I've never heard we have to close a school or a whole class of children had to go home because of food safety issues. All right, I'm not saying that we never have food safety issues, but it wasn't on the scale, the magnitude as some of the more developed countries like Japan and United States of America and and UK. All right, we have been doing a very very good job here in Barbados when it comes to food safety. When we get into the module one of this particular um, component of food safety, I'm going to show you some statistics um, in relation to food safety analysis in Barbados. Food safety analysis that was done by the Best Santos lab. All right, and you will see once you start to analyze those statistics, you realize that we have been doing a very good job in Barbados. All right, when they say we, I mean all of us would have been doing a very good job. All right. So let me welcome you. You're going to hear new things. I'm hoping that I can learn from you. Certainly, you will learn from me. You will hear new things. Day after day, you will hear about a lot of foodborne bacteria. We will delve into. We will get a little bit into microbiology. Um, that is the basis of the whole program. Once you understand how bacteria work, then we'll be able to connect it to personal hygiene, which is the second module. The third module will deal with purchasing and receiving. The fourth module will deal with um, storage. Then the fifth module will deal with reheating and storage, cold storage, etc. When we get to the sixth module, we deal with um, cleaning and sanitizing, and all of these will tie back into module one. We will try to connect them to module one. If you can connect them to module one, then you can understand what is going on. Module seven is our vector control, where we look at rats and mice and roaches and flies and see how they can, if there's an infestation, how they can cause food safety problems. Um, Module 8, we will touch lightly on the law, what the law states about food safety. So in Barbados, we have the Health Services Act, Chapter 44, which deals with public health, but embedded in Chapter 44, you have the Health Services food hygiene regulations. And in those regulations will tell you exactly how to perform your duties as a food handler, as a preparator, and even as an inspector. All right. So um, we will look at module 8, and then we'll look at module 9. I hope that I have enough time to give you a good um, grasp of hazard analysis critical control point. Anybody did HACCP at school?
No, sir.
Okay. All right. So when we look at hazard, we're going to be looking at an introduction to hazard analysis critical control point. Now, when we get to that particular module, you should have been able to understand the basics of food safety. So, for instance, when we get there and I say cow, you'll be able to tell me what type of organisms are associated not only with the cow, but associated with beef. When I say chicken, you'll be able to tell me what would be the two major organisms that are associated with chicken. Anybody can tell me one of them? Chicken and eggs.
Salmonella.
Salmonella.
Salmonella, right? Um, Salmonella is one of those organisms, but the primary one is an organism called Campylobacter. All right, we will learn more about that later on. In all of the studies that were carried out around the world and including Barbados, we would have tested some chicken. We would have done a scientific analysis of poultry in Barbados, and we found that more Campylobacter were found in the chicken than Salmonella, and that is consistent with the the studies that were done in Brazil, in the United States of America, and UK. You will hear me constantly talk about UK and America. Both of these entities are rival what do you call it, institutions. All right. So in America you have the FDA. All right. You have the FDA, and in Europe you have the EU. All right. So the Americans normally brag that they have a better food safety record than those in the EU. The EU normally boasts, if you look at all of the institutions that the EU govern or regulate, they have some very stringent and strict and very high standards with respect to everything. And especially when it comes to food, they have some very high standards. All right. But every day, I had an app on my phone, and every day I used to get a notification, or some notification telling me that they were recalling some foods in um, in United States of America. All right. But the EU has some very high standards. All right. So you will hear me talk about EU, you will hear me talk about FDA, and the institutions that are associated with the American society. Um, so yes, I wanted to do some extra reading too. What I will try to do is to get to give you some text so that you can read upon. Um, there's some handouts that I can send to the group monitor so that he or she can distribute them to the various students in the class. So I anticipate that we will have a very good time. Um, Once we start early, we can end early. All right. Um, yeah. Once we start early, we can end early, and I hope and pray that we'll be able to grasp the concepts. What I've found is that um, last year when I taught the tourism and travel group, I would have started face to face, and then we had to go into this virtual class setting. They would have done better than all the classes that I have ever taught. I don't know why uh, I don't know why it happened or how it happened. All right, but I'm hoping that um, that everyone will be able to grasp the concepts, especially in this situation. There were some students last semester who told me that they were finding it difficult to cope with this particular method of teaching. But remember, I I'm a tutor who will, there's no foolish question or foolish answer. Right? If you have a question, if you don't understand, I want you to mute your mic and ask me a question. All right. I will go at a pace that I believe everybody will be comfortable with, so that we can understand what is going on. All right. So I'm not merely teaching for people to pass exam. I'm teaching so that persons can understand the basic concepts with respect to food safety. All right. So please remind me at the end of the class to take a register. All right, and I would prefer if you sign in with your name, even if it's your first name. All right. So we will start the class now. So again, we'd like to welcome all of you. Um, my name is Ryle Rock. I'm a senior environmental health officer in the Ministry of Health. I've been teaching. I've been involved in the Ministry of Health um, for over 30 years. All right. Um, so I know a little. I would say I know a little about public health and food safety. I've been involved in teaching food safety since 2001. It's a passion of mine to teach about food safety, and I really enjoy it. So I hope that I can impart that type of enthusiasm in this particular class um, from this afternoon onward, so that you can have a solid and a solid grasp of food safety. Sometimes when you teach people a little of everything, they get paranoid and they begin to panic. I don't want you to do that. I want you to understand the concepts of food safety and be able to make a, a good judgment, a solid judgment, if you are in charge of a food safety entity in Barbados. And this particular course will assist you at home as well as at your workplace. When we come up with this lockdown and we get back to a normal situation, you realize that a lot of people were doing a lot of foolishness um, all all the time. All right, but um, I hope that I can impart this passion of mine to this particular class. So again, I would like to tell you welcome. All right, so what I'm going to do, I have to move from this particular computer and go to another one so that we can look at we are going to be looking at the 5 risk factors. All right, so give me a half a minute to get to the other um, the other computer. All right. All right, everybody can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we are going to look at the 5 risk factors. I'm going to share my screen with you. All right. Everybody can see the screen now?
Yes, sir.
All right, hold on. All right.
Amongst us, in our homes and close to the food we eat, live some mysterious, tiny, yet extremely energetic creatures. Much smaller. These are microorganisms, extremely small living beings. There are 3 different types of microorganisms. The good ones help to produce foods and drinks such as cheese and yogurt, fermented meat, and fermented vegetables. Some other microorganisms are annoying. These are the bad ones. They are responsible for the foul smell, bad taste, and repulsive look of rotting food. But they normally don't cause diseases. But it's the other kinds of microorganisms that we really need to be afraid of. They don't cause food to smell bad, and they don't change the way it looks. They are the dangerous ones, and it's necessary to be very careful with them. These are known as pathogenic microorganisms, and they can cause severe illnesses, such as stomach pains. vomiting, diarrhea, fever, and even death. They're deceitful, invisible, and dangerous. These tiny beings are very, very prolific. To increase in number, they need food, water, time, and warmth. They can multiply very quickly. Fortunately, no matter how strong and frightening these microorganisms are, they are preventable and vulnerable. It takes as little as 5 simple rules. 5 behavior keys to get rid of them. Protect yourself and your family from diseases in the home. The rules are easy to apply. These are your 5 keys to safer food. Keep clean to prevent contamination. Separate raw and cooked foods to avoid cross-contamination. Cook thoroughly to kill microorganisms. Keep food at safe temperatures, either hot or cold, to prevent bacterial growth. Use safe water and safe raw materials to avoid contamination. Food producers are the ones primarily responsible for the safety of the food you buy. But you can protect yourself and your family from diseases in the home by applying the 5 keys to safer food. Use them. You also have a role to play.
All right. So later on we're going to look at the sorry. All right, so later on we're going to look at the 5 factors. All right, we're going to see how they affect food safety, and as we go through these modules, all right, you're going to realize that these 5 food risk factors will come back. All right, they will come back, and so it is important that we understand these risk factors and grasp the concepts related to these risk factors. So in the narration, they would have spoken about 3 different types of bacteria. Can anybody tell me what are those 3 different types of bacteria? Anybody was taking notes? Please remember to bring a pen and paper. Okay, Shen.
Sorry, sir, could you just repeat the question, please?
Okay, I was asking, during the narration, the gentleman would have mentioned 3 organisms. All right, could you mention the 3 organisms, 3 types of organisms, sorry.
Good, bad, and I think the last one was dangerous.
Good, bad, and dangerous. Anybody else? You got 2 or 3, Sam.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the last one.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sir, is it good, bad, and pathogenic? It could be one.
All right. 2 or 3. Bad ones are pathogenic. All right. Bad bacteria are pathogenic bacteria. Anybody else? You're right with the good and the bad.
Harmful.
Yeah, harmful. You same thing as bad. All right. Everybody give up. All right. So a way to write down. You have good bacteria. All right. You have bad bacteria, which are pathogenic. All right. And you have spoilage organisms. Let me share my screen again with you. Whiteboard. Share. Okay. All right. So you have good bacteria. You have pathogenic. Bacteria. And then you have spoilage. All right. Everybody,
No, sir, I can't see the screen.
you can see the screen?
I can see it.
You can see it? You can see it now?
Sir, could I always see it from when you start?
Okay. It was Shanice that said she couldn't see it?
Oh, it was me. I still can't see it.
It was Aisha.
Oh. Aisha? Okay. Then all right. Okay. All right, so Aisha is good bacteria, all right? Pathogenic bacteria and spoilage bacteria. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so tell me something about what he said about spoilage bacteria. Anybody?
They don't give off a foul smell or make the food look bad.
The spoilage bacteria?
Yeah, it doesn't it doesn't change the appearance of certain foods, I think.
Sir, can I try?
Yeah. Show me, I get back to you.
He said that spoilage bacteria. He said that spoilage bacteria changes the color and the appearance and the smell of the food.
Okay, so the smell is offensive.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Shem, what? Okay, an example of spoilage organisms would be the situation where the parrot go in the dustbin and find food that was there like for 5 days. Spoilage organism. It smelled bad. It looked bad. All right, but remember, this is gonna shock you. Spoilage organisms don't necessarily make people sick.
Well,
Everybody
I
hear
thought it was
that?
the bad bacteria, yeah. Okay.
So, our guts, and it guts harder than yours. It is that when he eat the spoilage food, the food that is spoiling, all the bacteria like salmonella and campylobacter and some of the other organisms that I will mention later on, all those organisms would have been killed off. So what the spoilage organisms are doing, the spoilage organisms are breaking down the food. Everybody get me?
Yes, sir.
I'm making sense or this something you hearing for the first time?
You making sense, sir?
Okay. All right. So the spoilage organisms, they grow in an environment that is very, very hostile to pathogenic organisms, to salmonella, shigella, E. coli. Everybody getting me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. If there's any person who don't understand, please let me know. Please, I don't want it to log on. I can't hear if I call your name. All right. Jenny, you understand it?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So let me go over that again. We spoke about spoilage organisms. So if you come upon spoilage organisms, spoilage organisms will give an appearance. All right, so the green thing on the cheddar cheese, you know, cheese that all relatives from America and England like bad, and it got a green cast on it, and we used to just cut it off and eat the rest. So what we would have been doing, we cut off, that's like trimming the tree and eating the branches and the trunk. So when it comes to spoilage organisms, you have to discard that food. It looks bad, it looks detestable, but it will not make you sick. It will not necessarily make you sick. So you have organisms that spoil food. Everybody understanding me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let me hasten to tell you that there are certain organisms that will spoil food that has the same name as good organisms or pathogenic organisms. All right. So, for instance, my name is Rock. Okay. I am related to the Kalimurs. I am related to the Sobers. I'm related to the Skeets. I'm related to the Sprayers. All right? All of us are family. All right? But got different names, slightly different names. And obviously, different attitudes and different, every individual, you know, is different. So when it comes to pathogenic organisms and spoilage organisms and good organisms, you'll find that the pathogenic organism might have the same name as the spoilage organism, the same surname. You'll find that the good bacteria might have the same surname as the bad bacteria. So when you see these different names, I don't want you to get confused. I just want you to understand that they are of the same family, they got the same family name, but they operate different. Everybody understanding me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So we have spoilage organisms. How do you know? How do you know when food is spoiling? How do you know if you go to buy a bottle of ketchup? How you know it's spoiling?
Sir,
Yes, please.
either look discolored or if it smells so you can see. Well, not smell so, but smell a little stronger than usual, sir.
You're going to the supermarket and you're looking at the bottle. You're taking out the bottle on that, so you're just looking at it.
The expiry date?
No, not necessarily expiry date. If you see bubbles, right, Shem? If it got a lot of bubbles inside, it is spoiling. So you don't have to touch it. You don't go carry it home and open it and smell it, and then call back and go back to the supermarket. You could just look at it on the shelf and say, look, that is so spoiling. Daddy don't buy that. Because your mommy might know that, but your daddy might not know. You might go, you get sent to buy ketchup, you put your hand on ketchup and bring any brand. All right? Now, how do you know when cake or bread is spoiling?
It's get hard.
Somebody says get hard?
Yes, sir.
What else?
Yeah, like moss and stuff on it.
You said moss?
Yeah, like green thing.
Uh-huh. So maybe you bread, depending on the moisture content of the cake and the moisture content of the bread, yeah, you will see some discoloration. Yeah, Jaden was like he was going to say something.
So I said it started to crumble.
It's
crumble. So like
okay. Okay. All right.
Sweet bird,
So,
sir. Sorry. I think with sweet bread, when it's starting to go off, it just starting to get like really chewy, the consistency.
Okay. And whenever break like conkeys and cake, I see it like pulling.
Me slimy.
That's
Yes, slimy.
correct.
Right. You got it. You got it. One of the evidence of spoilage in food is sliminess. Everybody got that? You go out and buy a
Yes, sir.
conky. You think that the conky fresh, but when you break the conky, it's slimy and it pulling. That's what we call rope. In public health and food safety, we call it roping. All right? We said it got rope. So it's going to be slimy. All right? The drinks might be got off taste. All right? The cheese might got the green pigmentation on it. It is spoiling. All right? What else? So taste. If you have an off odor, you know that it's spoiling. But remember what I said before. If you eat the food, it might not make you sick. Might make your stomach upset. But it is not all the organisms that would have caused kidney problems have been killed off because those pathogenic organisms would have been in an environment that was hostile, so they cannot grow in a hostile environment. And a hostile environment would be an acidic environment. When we get to the factors that affect food safety, we're going to deal with the pH of food, and depending on the pH of the food, you can control certain bacteria. All right. So we expanded on spoilage organisms. When we talk about pathogenic organisms, what are we talking about?
Ones that usually cause diseases.
Diseases. Can you name any of those organisms that can cause diseases? Foodborne organisms? Anybody?
They're foodborne organisms. So like this come off with chicken, so like salmonella.
Yeah. Salmonella?
Very not sure anymore other than salmonella.
Okay. All right. So that's what we're here for. We can learn.
Equal.
Sorry, I thought Bob was a female. Sorry about that. Okay.
Sir, may you repeat
Sorry.
the question?
No, I was saying that there's certain organisms that would make you sick. We call them pathogenic organisms. And one of the students said that he only could remember salmonella. Somebody said E. coli.
Yes, please, sir.
Okay, E. coli. E. coli is associated with what, Jenna? I answered that question to put you on the spot, okay? Anybody? E. coli is associated with what food?
Like meat.
What type of meat? You got mutton, you got beef, you got pork. Hey, give me that again, please.
Red meat. Sir, and ground beef.
Beef, sir.
Yeah, beef, ground beef.
Right.
But over the past, let me say, 10 years or so, all right, we have been finding that E. coli now is being associated with green leafy vegetables. And later on in the semester, I will show you a DVD case study on E. coli, and you'd be surprised to understand, the extent of its devastation. E. coli is associated with ground beef, but has also been associated with green leafy vegetables. In fact, there's a serotype of E. coli called E. coli 0157:87. All right, that is extremely devastating on children. Then, a few years ago, about 10 years ago, there was an outbreak in Germany. E. coli 0104. All right, this particular strain of E. coli killed healthy people, and majority of those people that were killed were like vegetarians. And people was wondering, yes, it's E. coli, but we are not associating E. coli with vegetables. So, at one point, the people in Germany said it was the Spanish cucumbers, and they put the Spanish cucumber market in a spin. They had a situation where the cucumbers were in big cooling facilities, could not get a market. But then when they did their contact tracing, you hear about contact tracing, right? It could be used for COVID. It could be used for other diseases. When they did their contact tracing, they realized that it was from Brussels sprouts that were imported from I think Iran or Egypt or one of those places. Take Egypt, all right. And as advanced as Germany is, all right, they had a long-term trend to analyze and to do the epidemiological study as to what was the cause of this E. coli. So yes, E. coli is one of those pathogens. All right. So we talk about pathogenic organisms. We talk about pathogens. Those are the organisms that make you sick. So once it makes you sick, it's called a pathogen. So remember, the spoilage, it don't look good, it don't taste good, but it won't necessarily make you sick. All right. So we dealt with. Yeah, someone was asking a question.
Sir, can you repeat the spoilage organisms?
Okay, but what do you want me to? Okay, I'm saying that spoilage organisms, the appearance is undesirable. The taste is undesirable. All right, so it don't look good. It's slimy. All right. They are off odors. They are off. So if you buy something with coconut in it, and you taste the coconut and it rancid, it is spoiling. All right. So that is why people will put no, so don't go to me. We put salt. You're gonna see in a moment here. They will put, it's gonna come back to me. Sodium benzoate. Yes, that's why they will put sodium benzoate in the drink, in the bread, in order to prolong its shelf, in order to kill spoilage organisms. Sodium benzoate, and then there are other preservatives that you can put in certain foods to kill off organisms, spoilage organisms. All right. So yes, spoilage organisms. The food look bad. It's detestable, but it will not necessarily make you sick. You got that, Shanice?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. organisms, we talk about pathogenic organisms, those organisms that make people sick. All right, and Shem, this is where your contribution come in. There's when the organisms are on the food don't look bad, it don't smell bad, it don't even taste bad. But after a while, when it go down into your stomach, you will get some problems. So the food does look good. Anybody here ever had diarrhea? Don't be ashamed.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You ate what? You ate. Don't call the name of the place.
A roti.
Okay. I think I know where that roti come from. But don't let me call the name because this on YouTube.
I get it from sauce, sir.
Sauce. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to tell you a story about sauce.
Everything just give me
Alright?
belly.
What? You going to start eating fast food. Or eating it fast. Right? Now, did you know that the food had organisms on it? Anybody?
No, because you can't see it.
Yeah, to know that the food bad, I'm going to eat it. That got organisms on it, I'm going to eat it. So you don't know that it got on your organisms. The food that tastes bad, it had an off order, Shane?
No.
No. Because if it had an off order, you say, look, I ain't let how this taste. And majority times, you just eat all. And that is why, because of the bacterial load, then you start to feel sick. All right? In 2015, we had an outbreak of food poisoning in Barbados in 3 different areas. One in the north, one in the south, and one in the east. All right? The one in the north was put in that sauce. All right? Barbados is a small place, so I am not going to go into a lot of details. All right? Now, I remembered my wife called her and told her that she got sick from eating. She didn't eat the sauce. She ate the potato part. All right? But what had happened is that the person that bought the sauce went and bought it, and she don't eat pork, but she eat the pudding part. And when they realized that it was the sauce, they put it in a different container and give it to her. So it was she and 3 other persons, a husband and wife, and then a gentleman who was single. My wife I had to go to Sandy Crest because she was sick. The husband and wife, that couple, had to go to Sandy Crest because they too were sick after eating the sauce. The gentleman, he was so sick. In fact, he was a visitor to this island. He was so sick that when he went back to Canada, he had to go back in Pampers on the plane. When he got back to Canada, he was placed in intensive care. Pardon? Yeah, he had to go back in Pampers. He had profuse diarrhea. All right? When they tested, because whenever you come down, all over the world, this is standard. Whenever you come down ill from a foodborne illness, they will test your stool. So they will give you like 3 tests. All of them must be negative in order for you to be declared fit. So when they took his stool sample, they isolated pig down from out of his stool sample. All right? He took some time in order to recover. My wife now gone to New York. I thought New York got the best of everything. I got the brightest people. they give her antibiotics instead of testing her, giving her the 3 stool tests. They give her antibiotics. Some doctors feel antibiotics are the thing to do to cure, but the standard, the international standard is that they will give her 3 stool tests. All of them must be negative. So if she start negative, and then positive, she got to start back again. Then if you have a COVID test and you test positive, you come down here down with me. There's St. Lucie at her some point. They test you again. If you're negative, and they test you again, and you're negative, and they test you again, you're positive, you got to stop down there until you test negative. Everybody understand it?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes, sir.
understand.
Okay. I hope I'm talking too fast. All right. So, what would have caused the problem was that the pig belly wasn't cleaned properly. So you had organisms that were making people sick all over Barbados. Talk about pathogenic organisms. So what organisms they behave differently, right? They behave differently. There's some organisms that you eat the food now and you can have a reaction almost like instantly, or you can have a reaction within 2 hours. There are others, like Shigella, you will get a reaction in 7 days. So you might not associate your diarrhea with something that you ate 7 days ago. You might associate it with something that you ate a few hours ago. So that's where you have to be. You have to take a mental register of what you eat over periods of time, so that just in case you come down ill, you'll be able to tell us, public health inspectors who will be doing the investigation, exactly what. Normally we ask you what, well, based on certain diseases, we'll ask you, we ate 3 days ago. If we were dealing with Shigella, we'll ask you what you ate 7 days ago. If we were dealing with something like hepatitis A, that's difficult. The incubation period for hepatitis A is 50 days. What did you eat 50 days ago? 50 days ago was not the 25th of December. So you can't tell me you put in a cake and ham and that sort of thing. So you got to take that we ate 50 days ago, which is difficult. So you can understand the difficulties that we find when we are doing investigations, because different organisms behave differently. Everybody understand me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I hope that would have explained pathogenic organisms to everybody's satisfaction, that you will understand what are pathogenic organisms. I realize that those pathogenic organisms will make people sick. So we dealt with spoilage, we dealt with pathogenic organisms. Now we're dealing with good bacteria. Is there something called good bacteria?
I believe so, sir.
Microbiome.
Probiotics.
Okay. Of course. I was just going to ask if all bacteria are bad. No. Look at how all men are not bad. Right?
Facts.
I thought I was here all the men here say amen. You hear that boy laughing?
Sir, cut it out.
Oh, okay. All right. All bacteria are not bad. All right. You have some good bacteria. And somebody mentioned, it was Jaden, that you mentioned probiotics.
Yes, sir.
That's exactly what we're talking about. Exactly what we're talking about. All right. So you have, let me share my screen again with you so that I could type out some of the organisms that are good organisms. All right. So the organisms that are used for making yogurt. Yogurt is not made from stale milk. Everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yogurt is not made from stale milk. Yogurt is made from the same milk that you do your 2% and your whole milk and all that. You homogenize the milk, you pasteurize the milk, and you get it ready for making yogurt. All right. So these are I try to remember the spelling of these organisms. First organism you're gonna put in is Streptococcus. Streptococcus thermophilus. All right. Streptococcus thermophilus. Everybody see on my screen? Are you sure you see on my screen?
I could see it, sir.
So, hold on.
No, sir. I'm not seeing the screen.
And I'll say the screen. Everyone know what's going on.
Are you sure you on your phone?
No, I'm on the computer.
Try to like pull up everything like everybody at the same time and see if it can come up.
I can see the screen now. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that is one of the organisms that is used. Streptococcus thermophilus. You will realize now that if you come down with strep throat, all right, it is an organism that's called Streptococcus, but not Streptococcus thermophilus. So remember what I tell you. Some family members got the same, your siblings got your same surname in majority cases, but you got a different first name. You know, but as get the children, all the children the same first name, and last name is George Foreman. So you got George Foreman 1, George Foreman 2, George Foreman 3. We're talking about that. All right. The second organism that they use would be one called lactobacillus. Lactobacillus. Lactobacillus bulgaricus. And there's another one. So the two main organisms that they use would be Streptococcus thermophilus and Lactobacillus bulgaricus. All right. So what do? They'll put in 2% of organism into the volume. So suppose you got 100 liters of milk that has been homogenized and pasteurized. They'll put in like 2% organism. And these organisms will eat the lactose that is in the milk. Anybody here lactose intolerant?
Me, sir.
Okay. So these organisms will consume the lactose that will be in the milk and make it sour. That's why natural yogurt has a sour taste, because the pH is very low. All right, and then they will also use another organism that is found in the gut of human beings called Lactobacillus acidophilus. I think it's spelled like that. Lactobacillus acidophilus. So this is found in the gut of human beings. All right, it's found in the gut of human beings, and when you put it in the yogurt, all right, it will get to your gut live and replenish all those organisms that were killed off. Ladies, do you know the benefits of yogurt with live bacteria?
No,
Ladies? No?
sir, does it kill the? Oh, I don't want to say. I might be wrong.
Sir, I would say I might be wrong too. But I would say
The yeast.
something to do with the pH balance.
Yeah, pH balance where?
In that area.
Okay. All
Hey,
right.
got some
Yeah,
good
those.
down. Huh?
Yeah. We don't microbiology, we could do biology too. All right. Go ahead. Somebody was saying something. Go ahead. All right. Okay. All right. So when it comes to yeast infections, yogurt is excellent for the treatment of yeast infection. All right. So if you have an infection and the doctor gave you antibiotics, speaking to ladies now, a good doctor will tell you to go and buy yogurt with live bacteria, with live culture. So you have to go and buy the yogurt and look at it and see what are the live cultures. And the live culture will be like Streptococcus, Thermophilus, or you will see S. Thermophilus, L. bulgaricus, or L. acidophilus. How yogurt works is that if you come down with a yeast infection, no, if you have an infection, I doctor give you yogurt, give you antibiotics. What will happen is that when you urinate, all right, females, when you urinate, the active ingredient in the antibiotics will kill off the organisms in your vaginal tract. All right, hence it will predispose you to having a yeast infection. Now, when you go and buy the yogurt, especially one that has lactobacillus acidophilus, what will happen is that when you consume the yogurt and you urinate again, what will happen is that those organisms will replenish the organisms that were destroyed in your vaginal tract and bring it back to the right pH. All right, I think the pH for the vagina is like 5.3, a pH value of 5.3. I have to look it up again. All right. So that is the reason why the doctor will tell you to use yogurt with live culture. Everybody got that?
Yes, sir.
All the females got that? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Right. So you have these. There are other good bacteria, but I mentioned just three. I want you to write them down and on the line that first name. That first name is the equivalent to our last name. All right. So for bacteria, the last name comes first, and the first name is at the back. And you realize that I spell Streptococcus lactobacillus with a capital L, while I spell Thermophilus, Bulgaricus, and Acidophilus with comma letters. That's the way how you write bacteria. All right, so the last name, the surname would have capital letters. The first name would have comma letters. Everybody get me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I hope I have ventilated enough about pathogenic organisms, spoilage organisms, and good bacteria. All right, because Once we understand them, then we can understand a little bit about food. So there are certain foods that will spoil. There's certain foods that will spoil food. So for instance, if you're doing things like chive, sweet pepper, and put it in rice or anything, so before the day out, your food's spoiling. Your food is going to be slimy. All right, it's going to spoil. Then when it comes to other organisms, you have to make sure that the food is cooled down quickly and placed inside the refrigerator, or you eat the food fast. All right? So there's certain things that you can do to control pathogenic organisms. There are things that you can do to destroy and spoilage organisms or reduce them. All right? And then when it comes to good bacteria, you will introduce good bacteria to certain foods in order to enhance the health of human beings and even animals. One of my colleagues told me that in America they would have given because the cows have a lot of E. coli in their stool, they would have given the cows a lot of yogurt, which would reduce the amount of E. coli organisms. All right. So all right. Okay. So I want you to write down the top 5. Hold on. The top 5 foodborne illness risk factors. All right. You have here 3 of them: improper hot cold holding temperatures of PHF, and PHF is potentially hazardous foods. Then you have improper cooking temperatures of food, and 3, dirty and or contaminated utensils and equipment. So CDC, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, they have done a number of tests, and they realize that when you have food that is not at the right temperature for long periods of time, especially potentially hazardous foods, it can make you ill. They realize that if the food is not cooked properly to the right temperature, it will make you ill. They also realize and tested they have proven that dirty and contaminated utensils and equipment can make people sick. And there are 2 other risk factors. So you can tell me when you have finished writing these first 3 risk factors so that we can look at the 4th and the 5th.
Sorry, can you repeat the risk factors?
Okay. Improper hot cold holding temperatures, hot/cold. Improper hot/cold holding temperatures of PHF. And when you talk about PHF, I'm talking about potentially hazardous foods. The second one is improper cooking temperatures of food. The third is dirty and/or contaminated utensils. Dirty and/or contaminated utensils and equipment.
So you can repeat that, please?
Dirty and/or contaminated utensils and equipment.
Star was number 2.
Number 2 is improper cooking temperatures of food.
Sir, can you repeat number 3?
Number 3, dirty and, I put in a slash, or contaminated utensils and equipment.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, everybody got all three, got the first three risk factors?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the fourth one will be poor employee health and hygiene. Poor employee health and hygiene. So when we talk about poor personal hygiene, that is a risk factor. We all know how poor personal hygiene, the part that it play in the spread of COVID. So ever since we talk about poor personal hygiene, but we were talking about it with respect to food safety. But you realize that with COVID, good, proper personal hygiene is important. All right. Number 4, unsafe sources. Food from unsafe sources. All right. So everybody got all 5 risk factors?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So wait, hold on. Let me go back to right. I want you to write down what the definition of a risk factor. All right. A risk factor. Risk factors are those practices or procedures that pose the greatest potential for foodborne illness. Let me read out for those who are not seeing it on the screen. Risk factors are those practices
So you can repeat that. You stick on my side just now.
Okay, sorry. Risk factors are those practices or procedures that pose the greatest potential risk factors that pose the greatest potential sorry. Risk factors that pose the greatest potential for foodborne illness. All right, so when we talk about a risk factor, especially when it comes to health, a risk factor for stroke or whatever will be like high blood pressure. A risk factor. is a practice or procedure that will pose the greatest potential for illness. When we talk about food safety risk factors now, we're talking about those practices or procedures that pose the greatest potential for foodborne illness. So if you don't cook the food properly, that is a practice or procedure. You are going to make people sick. If you do not store the food properly, you're going to make people sick. If your equipment is dirty, you're going to make people sick. If your personal hygiene is not up to standard, you're going to make people sick. If your source is an unreliable source, so in other words, you got a friend who could sell you chickens, but he can bring the chicken warm and got it in a truck that he's transporting your dog in. You put people's lives at risk. All right. Unsafe sources. All right. So here are those 5 factors. Let me tell you, and I ain't trying to trick you. This question will come in the exam. You can mess up on 5 marks. You have to know the risk factors. I can remember that I told you this at 6:43 on the 4th of February. I remember telling you that. All right. Okay. So everybody have the 5 risk factors, the top 5 foodborne illness risk factors. Somebody, pardon, go back a minute. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Top 5 foodborne risk factors for me, please.
Pardon me?
Ryle, can you read back the top 5 foodborne illness risk factors? Where is it? Ryle is here. How about
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Okay, I ain't hearing neither. Tashana. Could you read back the top 5 foodborne illness risk factors, please?
Top 5 factors are improper cooking with food temperature, utensils dirty and contaminated.
Yeah.
Keeping improper hot and cold holding temperatures of food, getting food from unsafe sources, and poor employees' health.
Okay. So can you tell me what is potentially hazardous foods? Give me an example of a potentially hazardous food.
Like if the chicken that probably still have like a lot of blood.
Not necessarily. If you tell me chicken, I can't accept it. Chicken is a potentially hazardous food. All right, you're looking at foods that are high in protein, that have they're high in protein, and they have enough moisture to support the growth of bacteria. So chicken. Leah, could you give me another example of a potentially hazardous food?
Or that is not fully cooked.
Whether it cooked or not is a potentially hazardous food because it has enough moisture to support the growth of bacteria. So whether it cooked or not is a potentially hazardous food. Everybody understanding me? So eggs would be a potentially hazardous food. All right? Fish will be a potentially hazardous food. All the meats will be potentially hazardous foods. All right? Even rice is a potentially hazardous food.
Sir, what vegetables, sir?
Vegetables?
Like in a salad or something?
Not necessarily, unless... Like what?
I mean, like in a salad, sir.
When there's always the potential that the food, the person who did the preparation might have contaminated the vegetables. But on its own, the vegetables would have more like dirt and thing on it, and you have some organisms in the dirt that can make people sick. But inherently, you don't get organisms just emanating from vegetables. If you wash them off, then you can wash off the organisms. If you use like 3 drops of bleach in a gallon of water and immerse the vegetables in there, you can kill off majority of organisms. All right, you kill off majority of them. But there are certain foods that inherently they have organisms. Now go ahead.
Right, but sir, say for instance, like you put like cucumber or sand in the salad, right? Because cucumber does got a lot of water in it, sir. That ain't like build up inside salad.
If it is contaminated, then you could get problems. All right, I'm telling you, when it comes to potential hazardous food, you will always find salmonella and campylobacter in chicken, no matter where you hide the chicken. Whether it's a free range or whether you got it in a cup, you will always find bacteria. All right, always find bacteria. All right, so I hope that we grasping the concepts. So let's look in detail at improper hot cold holding temperatures of potentially hazardous foods. All right, so I would have given you a definition of what is a potentially hazardous food. A food that is high in protein and have enough moisture to support the growth of bacteria. So when we talk about improper hot cold holding temperatures, we're looking at storage temperatures. All right, anybody can tell me what storage temperatures you should keep cooked chicken at? You bake the chicken, you fry the chicken, you got barbecue chicken too? Yeah, you barbecue the chicken. What temperature should you hold it? What temperature should you store it at in order to have a safe product? Anybody? Or one of the vets calls Uncle Haluk shut down. Tell me what is the proper temperature for chicken at Uncle Haluk? Anybody?
So you need like you need a specific temperature, or the same almost not temperature.
Give me that again, please.
You need like the specific temperature or something.
Give me a figure. You gotta give me a figure. Yeah, give me a specific figure that the chicken should be stored at after the chicken get cooked.
Either I think below 40 degrees Fahrenheit or above 40. That's cooked chicken.
Okay, you know cooking with gas above 140, 40 and above. Everybody hear me? Sorry, I said 40. Sorry, I mean 140, 140 degrees Fahrenheit or above. That is the storage temperature for potentially hazardous foods. 140 degrees Fahrenheit is the same as well as 60 degrees Celsius. Everybody get me?
Yes, sir.
When I talk about holding temperatures, what I talking about? I talk about storage temperatures. So you go to buy hot and spicy, and that's a KFC or Hello Uncle Hello. I don't eat chicken.
They tend not KFC.
KFC. You go to buy hot and spicy. The hot is the pepper part, all right, but it should be kept when it's being stored. It should be kept at 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius. Oh, they didn't know that. Anybody? Believe that is Kelman Ward? Indica? Can you tell me how you know that the temperature is at 140? All right, so
Sir, she can't hear you properly.
please. She can't hear me properly?
Sir, are you speaking?
Sorry. I breaking that sometimes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right, sorry about that. All right. How do you know that the temperature should be at 140? How do you know that?
Using a thermometer to check if you're having.
What instrument you will use to find out that?
A thermometer, sir.
A thermometer. All right.
You can
I
hear me
remember
properly?
that. I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
But I just get someone telling me that my internet unstable. All right. Use a thermometer. I remember your temperature must be at 140 degrees Fahrenheit. All right. So that is hot temperature. Cold temperature now. And for those persons who can't hear me well, please go on the Zoom. All right, and look at the presentation later. For cold temperatures now, we're looking at 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the same as 4.4 degrees Celsius. So you buy the chicken, you're using it at the same time. You're not using it at the same time. You're putting it in the refrigerator. Your refrigerator should register 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below. All right.
Sorry,
The food. All right. I don't have this presentation. All right. All right. Give me a minute. All right. I can move from this. Okay. I can move from there. Yeah. All right. Give me a minute. I'm going to come up with this system and go to my other system. All right.
All right, sir.
All right. All right, better. See me? Pull this. Yeah. All right.
All right, everybody can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me look for this presentation. Vendors. All right. Yeah, I'm ready to the presentation open up. Vendors. All right. So let's until the presentation open up, let me go over the hot, cold holding temperatures. What temperatures are ideal for hot holding, for storage, hot storage foods? Anybody can tell me?
At least 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
140 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. All right. Right. And we were looking at cold storage just now, and we said what temperature is ideal.
Below 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay. All right. Food vendors. Okay. All right. Let's see it here. All right. Yeah. So we're saying that for storing food. All right. So you are the person who is in charge of the buffet line. The number of instructions that you will give the porter to do, and then as you periodically every 20 minutes or every 45 minutes, you will come around with your thermometer and you would take your temperatures of the hot food. You should your food should be 140 degrees Fahrenheit or above. Now, when it comes to cold foods, now you have to use like ice. You don't necessarily have to test test it by a thermometer. You just have to make sure that your the pans that are storing the salads, etc., are replenished with ice. Once they replenish with ice, you will get your 4 degrees Celsius or your 40 degrees Fahrenheit. But for food, we want you to be We want you to be testing. We want you to be testing for your for that temperature all the time. We want you to be testing, and that's the only way that um, you could provide a safe product to the consumers. Once you test it, you gotta write it down too. All right, test it. Put down the time that you would have put down the time that you would have tested the food, and write down exactly what the temperature was like. That's the only way that you can be sure that you will provide a safe product for your proprietors. All right, hold on. Fine. All right, Shanice, you can see the presentation now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I'm at a different machine. All right. All right. All right. So here in this particular slide, you have what we call the temperature danger zone. I want you to write it down. Temperature danger zone. The temperature danger zone runs from 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, in the temperature danger zone, bacteria will multiply at a rapid rate because those temperatures are ideal for the growth of bacteria. All right? Ideal. So that is why you don't want your food to be at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why you want your food at 140 degrees Fahrenheit and above, or 40 degrees Fahrenheit and below. You don't want your food to be in the temperature danger zone, and this is important for long periods of time. Long periods of time will mean like 2 and 3 and 4 hours. Once you leave the food at room temperature for 2 and 3 and 4 hours, you will give the bacteria enough time and the right temperature to multiply and make people sick. Am I clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Dika, you can hear me now? It's Indica or Indica? All right. So the common rule is to keep hot foods hot. Write down that. Keep hot foods hot and cold foods cold. Keep hot foods hot and cold foods cold. Obviously, right? I don't want you now to eat your food at 104 degrees Fahrenheit because that won't make no sense. And you're going to only damage your palate and taste buds. I'm saying that if you eating food, you will cool it down to room temperature and then eat the food because that's ideal temperature for your stomach and all that. But if you are going to be storing food, you got 6 pounds of macaroni pie with 2 pounds of chicken, and you got it there on the counter from 6 o'clock and it now 9 o'clock. That is not proper storage. We do not want to have food in the temperature danger zone for long periods of time. I hope everybody understand that. Now, this particular point has caused a lot of problems between inspectors and proprietors. All right. So I know some inspectors who just see macaroni pie on the table. The first question they should ask: how long has that macaroni pie been on the table? Once it's on the table, they won't throw it away. You gotta ask questions. How long has it been there? If you wait a half an hour, there's still time to salvage the macaroni pie. But if it take you 4 hours, well, it belongs to the government. You're gonna get through it. You're gonna lose it. All right? Keep your hot foods hot. We're talking about storage. Keep your cold foods cold. All right? All right. Okay. We're gonna finish at 7:15, all right?
No problem, sir.
Okay, so let's look at improper cooking temperatures. All right. Leah Gittins, can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. How you know where if you're doing chicken, right? How you know when it's done?
When I cut it,
Yeah, you cooking. You
I mean
frying
when I
or
cut
you?
it, I look inside.
Yeah. How you know when it's done?
It got look dry inside.
It look dry inside. What colors you should see inside?
What?
Yeah, clear water, clear fluid. If you cut the chicken leg and you see bloody fluids, it ain't done yet. But you know what some people do? The frying the chicken, they're taking off piece all the time to see if it cook. That's dangerous. All right. When it comes to food safety, and you're using a thermometer, you will use the thermometer or will use your visual senses in order to determine whether the food is properly cooked or not. And properly cooked foods will make the vulnerable in society sick. Anybody can tell me who are the 4 vulnerable persons, groups in society all over the world?
The elderly, the
The elderly, children,
the poor.
the poor. You sure?
Pregnant women also.
Homeless.
Pregnant women and sick people. The elderly, the infants, sick people, and pregnant ladies. Or pregnant, yeah, ladies are pregnant, yeah. 4 of them. If you do not cook the food properly, you'll make them sick. All right? All right. So for the cooking temperatures for poultry, I want you to write this down. Is 165 degrees Fahrenheit, and I want you to put for 15 seconds. (165 degrees Fahrenheit) for 15 seconds. Explain that 15 seconds to me, somebody. Jade Harewood, you can hear me? All right, Jared Franklin, can you help me with this one? 165 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds.
Hello, sir. Can I hear you?
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yeah. What was the question?
Okay, I'm saying that when we are cooking poultry, the standard is 165 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds.
Yes, sir.
All right. I
Uh,
want you to explain. I want you to explain that before 15 seconds part.
15 seconds.
Yeah, the 15 seconds.
Hold on, sir.
Huh?
Hold on, sir. I gotta think about it.
Okay. Anybody else want to help Jared? How you explain this for 15 seconds? Everybody understand the 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Explain the 15-second part.
Sir, this sort
Hey,
of
sir, isn't it because? Oh, all right, continue.
Nah, go on, Jared, go on.
Go ahead. One person at a time.
Because it wouldn't it, like achieve like the same like level of like bacteria reduction.
Yeah, you're looking to reduce the amount of bacteria, all right? But what's happening is that when you're cooking the chicken, when you're cooking the poultry, when you're cooking the turkey, you're going to be taking the temperature of the turkey on the poultry on a consistent basis.
Oh,
When
okay.
it reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit, you will hold it for extra 15 seconds.
Oh.
So if your chicken take 2 hours to get to 165, you get extra 15 seconds. If it takes 45 minutes, you get extra 15 seconds. Once it reaches that temperature, 165, you give it an extra 15 seconds. You have reduced the amount of organisms in the poultry. And poultry will have a high temperature because of the potential for high loads of salmonella. So that's why you want to cook your chicken thoroughly. 165 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. Everybody understand that? If you don't understand that,
Sir, can
let me
you
know.
please repeat it, please?
Okay. All right. So you're cooking chicken. All right. You will take the temperature when you put it in the pot. You will take the temperature. If it's at 140 degrees Fahrenheit, it ain't done yet. But as soon as it reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit, you will give it an extra 15 seconds. So it doesn't matter how long it takes to get 165. Once you get to 165, you give it an extra 15 seconds. Everybody understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. When you're reheating now, you use the same temperature, 165 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. You stir the oats, or you stir the soup, or you stir the stew. When it reaches 165 degrees Fahrenheit, give it extra 15 seconds. Majority of those organisms that are there are killed off. This is scientific. This has been scientifically proven. All right? All right. It's 7:15 now. What we'll do, I will stop here. All right? I would like to take a record. All right? Before we close off. All right. Have 20 persons here. All right, let me call the names and you will answer accordingly, all right? All right. D-Bob, you're here? Wait, hold on. Okay. All right. Ryle Barrow Campbell is here.
Sir.
Okay.
Here.
Yes, please. All right. Then we have Aisha Boyce. Yes, she's here.
Here, sir.
Okay. I have a Ramari Brathwaite. All right. This is Shaquan Brown. I thought you saw.
Sir, she Wi-Fi bro.
She was what?
Her Wi-Fi.
Okay. All right. Jaden Calusi. I'm right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tashana Daniel. I saw that name.
Yeah.
Okay. This Pauline David.
Yes, sir, but her mic is giving challenges.
Okay. All right. Jared Franklin. Yeah. Joshua Gillard is here.
No, sir.
Okay. Leah Giddens. Yeah, you saw that name. Derica Grisette.
Here, sir.
Okay. Sharika Greenwich.
No, sir.
Okay. Jade Harewood.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shem Jones.
Present, sir.
Okay. Kelma Wall. I call you near right. Indica.
Yes, sir. She can't hear you. She here.
Okay. Shanice Mears.
Here, sir.
Jenna Maynard.
Here, sir.
And Jonathan Lewis Murray.
Here, sir.
Lejada Phillips.
Here, sir.
This is Koji Rudder. I call you near right?
No, please.
I'm sorry for calling it wrong. Could you give me the right pronunciation?
Koji.
Koji. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Rihanna.
Rihanna is here, sir. Her mic isn't working well though.
Okay. All right. My daughter's name is Rihanna. All right. So I would like to thank you for attending class today. Again, I would like to apologize for last week. My head did totally mess up last week. All right. And this week too. I was looking for you all on Wednesday. All right. I'm glad to have you here with me. I would like to thank you for the interaction. All right. What I will do, I need the contacts for at least one person so that I can send the presentation to, and also to send some of the handouts to you so that you can read ahead. All right.